Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Magic Mics, proudly sponsored by our Patreon supporters and CoolStuffInc.com. You can find cool stuff in stock every day, and our co-sponsor CardHoarder.com, offering the best inventory prices and delivery of cards for Magic Online. I'm Evan Irwin, and we get started this week by saying hello to my two co-hosts, Aaron Campbell.
Hello.
Ruben Bressler.
What's up? Are we actually doing an episode this week?
We are live doing this.
Amazing.
I still have, I packed for Vegas. The suitcases are in the corner of my room, but I'm still convinced I'm forgetting something. So if we want to wrap this up, I can go pack some more.
Yeah,
I can stuff some more clothes in those suitcases.
We'll figure out the list as we do this episode.
Fair enough. Well, we also get started with our Trumpet Blast, which you can get one if you support us at our highest level on Patreon. That's it. Do note we have a raid at the end of the show. I'm still working on the Kickstarter stuff.
That's right.
Kick it off with the first pick and the giveaway. The giveaway right now happening. Hit _! Raffle in the chat to for a chance to win a $50 gift certificate to CoolStuffInc.com. And if you subscribe to us, which you can for free with Twitch Prime, you get 2 entries.
And please do recommend to us your favorite undiscovered or underloved current streamers because we'd love to support them.
Absolutely. And I saw some weird thing on Twitter of somebody was getting upset that they only got rated by like 3 or 4 people, and I'm like, dude, for real?
Yeah.
That's insane. So
I've never been rated by anybody.
Well,
but I know we talked about that in the pre-show.
There's a lot of that in the pre-show, y'all. All about it.
That.
There's a whole bunch of it if you're interested in that stuff. That said, we're gonna get started here with our first pick. And it is Hall of Fame season once again.
Yes.
Okay, so first thing. I've been doing this 11 years, all right?
Old.
Thank you. When you go through the process of seeing who's able to be inducted in it, who's able to be inducted, and then there's the really awkward conversations of, well, this one time at this one event, they were like too super crappy, in the way they handled something. And then you have those who have actually been DQ'd and or been suspended before. Then you have those that, well, this person has just been quietly awesome while this other person has had an entire redemption arc and whatever. But the one thing I want to point out, excuse me, to start with here is
before we go any further, I want to say, first of all, the Hall of Fame still exists.
Well, that's what I'm saying. The Hall of Fame still exists, but note here, when the Hall of Fame first showed up, I assure you, Wizards was like incredibly adamant. This was the Pro Tour Hall of Fame. It was the Pro Tour Hall of Fame. That's why there's no Rosewater in there. That's why there's no Garfield in there. There's no Aaron Forsythe in there. It is the Pro Tour Hall of Fame. It's for the Pro Tour people. Well, here we are with the last sentence of this article saying it's the entire ballot of eligible candidates for the 2019 class of the Magic the Gathering Hall of Fame.
The subtle change.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's subtle, but I assure you, for Wizards, man, this was a giant deal. They printed it on everything. Like, they came to me personally and was like, Evan, it's the Pro Tour Hall of Fame. It's not the Magic Hall of Fame or the Magic the Gathering Hall of Fame, and here we are.
Cool. So, but there's still the same people on the list.
Yes.
Accurate? Yeah, like I'm not allowed to vote for Richard Garfield or Mark Rosewater or Evan Irwin or whoever.
That's
Yeah,
correct.
so the 3 of us have all been blessed.
We all do have ballots. Yes.
We all have ballots this year, which is
Much
amazing.
appreciated. Thank you, Wizards of the Coast. Hashtag free.
One thing that really stood out to me in the initial email was people have said before that they find Hall of Fame season to be very exhausting, what with all of the sniping and the accusations and the criticism and all of that. And so there is a noteworthy paragraph in the email with our ballots, and it says, you are encouraged to discuss your ballot and decision-making process in content you create and on social media using the official hashtag. We strongly encourage the focus of the discussion to be on why players are included rather than concentrating on players who didn't earn your vote. Let this be a celebration of their excellence without having to tear anyone else down in the process. Chris Pikula famously asked people to not tag him in this discussion anymore, whether it be good or bad. And so I hope that this is going to kind of take things in a different direction. Obviously I enjoy the pettiness as much as anybody, but it does seem like enough people have noticed that it's very taxing and it may not be a net positive to be handling it the way we have been.
Absolutely. And I think that is an excellent addendum from Greg Collins, who wears many hats at Wizards of the Coast, but in this capacity, he coordinates the Hall of Fame. And I am excited for the prospect of that. And I am not sure that this year lends itself to doing that, unfortunately. However, as we will discuss, fortunately, the number one candidate on basically everybody's list, or the new number one candidate on everybody's list.
The shoe-in this year.
The shoe-in this year, the brand new arrival, I don't think anyone has any objections to on any front.
Reed Duke.
Reed Duke.
Reed Duke. Reed Duke has more than 500 pro points, helps old ladies across the street, pushes cars that have died to where they need to go.
It's kind of beard now. Did you see that he was playing Golgari Citadel the other day? I was just like, my heart.
He has
actual Superman. We can vote actual Superman. 4
Pro Tour top 8s. He started his professional career really with a win at the MTGO championships. He's got
top 5 finish in the Player of the Year race 4 of the last 5 years. That's insane.
And median finish is a huge deal.
Oh,
He's got 6 Grand Prix wins, not to mention the fact that he is just a peach of a human, right? And not just saying that because of the Peach Garden affiliation, but he is just a really nice dude that no one has anything bad to say about him. Everyone has he is legitimately like Captain America, Keanu Reeves. Like, everyone just has a Reed Duke story that just adds to his legend as this paragon of virtue and goodness in the world.
Yeah, my favorite story that I love to tell about Reed is I had him on the deck tease, which was such an honor and a pleasure. And so Reed used to have these night tokens that were made by Star City Games, and they were like limited edition. So like once the run was done, they weren't offering them anymore. And I had a friend who will remain nameless and is not these two, just to clarify. I had a friend who would sneak me out Reed Duke tokens from Star City. And so every time I'd run into Reed an event, I would stutter like a 14-year-old girl. And I'd be like, hey, Duke, I have these tokens I want you to sign. And he'd be like, all right, Aaron, what do you got? And I'd give him like 4 more. And every time I'd see him, he'd be like, where do you keep getting these from? And I was like, I don't know, they just kind of happen. You design these for me. And so every time I would see him, he would number them. And every time he would go, where did you get these from? And I would just keep coming up with more and more and more Knights tokens. And now I have like a whole box full of them. If I ever play anything that requires Knights, I just use Marie Duke tokens. But I just remember the look on his face, like, how are you always getting Knight tokens? Every time I see you, you've got more Knight tokens. And I was like, I know, isn't that funny? I can't do it. It's just, ugh.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? My favorite story about Reed essentially was my meeting him for the first time at the online championship there in 2011. Wherever the Pro Tour was wherever the online championship was, and it's really terrific. I feel like one of my superpowers has been able to kind of, when I've met people who have later gone on to bigger and better things, I kind of get that gut feeling, you know. And when I met Reed, I was like, this dude is going to be an absolute freaking superstar. Like, crazy good at Magic, crazy nice dude, just the whole package, you know, and he's done nothing but live up to that and more so. So that's just happening. That's just happening in the Hall of Fame.
My favorite Reed Duke story, since we're here, is working at Grand Prix Miami, which Reed Duke eventually won. There is a 3-block walk from the convention center that we were at to the beach, where we took the ultimately took the sitting on a beach chair, Reed Duke behind his head photo. Were you there for this, Evan?
Which was this again?
So this was on the way. There is a broken down car, and Reed, instead of continuing to walk, crosses the street and helps this person push their car to off of the road, and then continues his walk to the beach to get the photo. And yeah.
My other favorite Reed Duke moment was I went viral a little bit courtesy of Reed Duke. So when I was doing the girlfriend bracket, do you guys remember feminist Ryan Gosling?
Yes.
The feminist Ryan Gosling, for those who don't know, was a series of memes based around Ryan Gosling, where it would take random pictures of Ryan Gosling and it would say things like, you know, hey girl, you know, like, let's curl up and do this or something. And I'd made a comment on the girlfriend bracket that there should be like feminist Reed Duke, where it's like, you know, hey girl, let's talk about institutionalized racism while we wait for the pairings. And there was a listener who took that meme and took like 4 different pictures of Reed and turned them into feminist Reed Duke. And it was all over Twitter. Thank you. Somebody in the chat remembers it. And he even saw it and retweeted it, and it was glorious. So that was my little moment of viral fame of like, you know, making feminist Reed Duke a thing.
That's fantastic. So There are more than 300 selection committee members, of which we are all a part, which is always humbling and nice.
And thank you very much to to Magic the Gathering, and for it is such a big honor for us to be a part of this sort of history and gravitas. And I'm also very excited that Brian David Marshall wrote the Call to the Hall article yesterday, and is going to be back sort of in a different capacity, but is back in some capacity as what is now going to be the Players Tour historian. That sounds weird. I don't like it. Brian David Marshall's still Pro Tour historian.
We just say PT. We just say PT historian.
That works for me.
And we're still good there. So, yeah, and you still have, just sort of as we leave this topic here in particular, you kind of have that weird feeling still that we are putting people in the Hall of Fame in the prime of their career. Like,
still weird.
Finkel's so good, he got another Hall of Fame resume while he had the Hall of Fame, resume. Yeah. So that's interesting. And is there any other sport that is anywhere close to doing stuff like this, where they have a Hall of Fame where people are
golf?
Right.
I don't know how the MMA does their Hall of Fame. And I don't know how the individual sports really do the Hall of Fame. I don't know how tennis works. I don't know how any of those works. But certainly for the major American pro sports, in addition to international soccer, it is not the way. Like, you have to be retired for a certain number of years before you can get into the Hall of Fame. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is a good one. That's a good example. There you go.
You can put people who are actually still making music in there, which is a thing, but largely I think agreed upon that their best days were.
And Rock and Roll Hall of Fame doesn't require you to have 4 platinum top 8s, right, to get on the list.
They're not arguing about your platinum albums and your gold albums and whatever. All right, so let's move on here into Gather the Townsfolk. Wizards of the Coast finally discussed Portal. You remember that thing they put on the side of the Guilds of Ravnica booster box? Remember the thing they made literal tokens for, describing things, showing screenshots of things? That's dead, and it's gone forever.
I forgot about it then.
They crap canned it, and let me tell you, this sounds like one of sort of the most corporate-esque things. Is that someone pitched this idea, right? Got everybody excited, like threw out the idea of this is going to do all this stuff, and we're going to make it do all this stuff, and it's going to do everything. And we're going to hire these people, and they hire these people, and they get into it, and they're looking at it, and then they look at other apps that do similar stuff, and they're like, wait a minute, why are we trying to do this thing when we could do this other thing? And then somewhere in the middle of all that, they literally just scrap the entire team, replace a tournament.
Did you hear your mute button?
Yeah, you muted yourself. Something happened.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
There we go.
Okay, cool. I won't touch the USB thing. But yeah, so in the middle of all that, they said, well, let's make this tournament organizer. You can run up to 16-player tournaments on what is now called the Magic the Gathering Companion. This is a open beta, and the first functionality, they say, is the home tournament organizer.
Well, it seems like the only function.
That is the only function right now.
It is the only function, okay.
But they allude to more. That said, it's open for beta testing on iOS and Android. You got to jump through kind of a hoop for iOS, but you can get it, and I did, and it's neat, for what it does. That said, later iterations of the app, they say they're going to start expanding on that functionality, empowering stores to better manage their events through mobile devices synced with players who have access to the app, which will be absolutely fantastic. Imagine playing an event in a store and handling pairings, results, and more right through your mobile device. That would be pretty awesome. So again, they started from square one and kind of had to go back. They had a interview on Hipsters of the Coast. Also, I love, by the way, that Hipsters of the Coast is like our actual factual news outlet for Magic that is respected enough that Wizards of the Coast will give them interviews, like legitimate, honest-to-God interviews and scoops. Like, they were ready to go. When this announcement came up, Hipsters had that article up as well, and that was great.
If the guy who's in charge of marketing over at Cool Stuff Inc. ever decides to can this show, then we can go over to Hipsters, right?
Wow. Okay. Well, there you go.
If we don't put enough product out, we'll have to report to whoever that is.
Of course, Carrie, at Still Carrie, being the savagest of the savage, said,
they are the best.
No, don't cancel the Portal app. Haha, you're so sexy. Which, if you don't know, if you don't know what that meme is, you should look it up because it's a good one, and I will not explain it to you. But they April King, of course, came in with just the most succinct way I've seen it said yet, which is it has the tiniest fraction of the functionality of what Portal was supposed to have 2 years late, and so bare bones they changed the name out of shame.
Yeah. And there was some reading between the lines here in this Hipsters of the Coast article in discussing exactly what happened to the Portal app. And the quote that I'm seeing here from Bill Stark is, the Portal team did an awesome job on answering a lot of the questions we needed to understand about building a great companion app, but in the end, the actual product from that effort fell short of where we needed it to be for players, which is scathing if you know how to read corporate speak. That is a pretty damning piece of text, I believe.
Yeah, I do think the app has potential, though. Like when I was reading Blake's article talking about the things they hope to do with it, if it works and if they get the feedback they need, we could get to a point where we could finally get pairings on our phone where, if you could get pairings from an app instead of having to go to a website or whatever, that would be a great change to be able to get standings. I think there's potential here, but it's hard for people to ignore the Portal thing because it was everywhere. And, there was a little bit of a lead there. They were kind of baiting us and it just never went anywhere. So it's going to take a while for people to forget what that was. And
I guess one of the questions would be if they had came out and called this thing Portal, wouldn't there be a lot more kind of wouldn't there be more negative press as a result of that?
Just leave it as Portal.
Well, I think Portal comes with different expectations where
they certainly sold it for many years on expectations,
right? And
the thing for me is you promise a lot and then it doesn't come out at all, and then you have this companion thing that is sort of the replacement, but you still acknowledge that this is the Portal replacement. As opposed to just calling this Portal and rolling out more features as you go on. This feels a lot like, now I might be going off on a diatribe I know nothing about, but No Man's Sky is a game that when it initially came out was completely panned and has had a bit of a redemption arc over the past couple of releases where now people really enjoy No Man's Sky. It's had this sort of like Final Fantasy, I want to say 7 or 8, which also was released to very bad reviews and then through updates grew itself in the video gaming community. This feels like that, where you could release something with little bits and maybe not have everything that you promised from the Portal app, but eventually build up that cloud to get to the point where you have something. As opposed to this, which feels very weird and I understand and I appreciate them being open about it, how this is not the Portal team, so it's not the Portal app.
They're trying to be as pragmatic as you need to be in a corporate environment, which is you can't just throw someone directly under the bus. You have to be. It's also reminds me of the movie sets, you know what I mean, where there was never any problems. Everyone loved each other. Everything was great. So and so was awesome. They're the best team ever. We were the best friends on set. It didn't really matter what craziness actually happened on set. You got to run the line and do the thing. And ultimately, I've downloaded the app, and it does seem to work pretty well as a home tournament run organizer.
Seems really good for that. Now, if you're running tournaments of greater than 16 players, I don't know if there's going to be functionality in the future for that, because I believe that was something else that was promised back in the Portal days. Among the many myriad things that are hopefully coming along with this companion.
Right. I mean, this is what they've said they've done in 3 months. So clearly everybody got thrown out, everybody got replaced. Let's do this.
And Bill Stark has only been there for 6 days or whatever.
Right.
He got hired in the middle of last year, if I recall. So he's not had a lot of time himself. So we'll see. But seems like a good start. I'm cautiously optimistic on the companion app.
Absolutely. So we have, excuse me, now we have a world in which we live that every single deck list is submitted electronically for Grand Prix. And that is a fantastic world to live in. And we now have the factual deck list from every single player in the entire Grand Prix, 912 lists. A few of them are unknown, but regardless, like, maybe all but 5% are here. And we have, the matchup data that you could go back and you could look at. Like, you could run all of those stats. Remember when they said too much information was too much information? Mm-hmm. They kind of gave us all the information.
Yeah.
Which is kind of fantastic. If you want to deep dive, it is here. And I first of all, I totally love it. I think this is great. They published all the day 2 deck lists, or I'm sorry, they published all the day 1 deck list and then waited until day 2 was at the end of the Swiss, and they released the rest of them. So that's where we got those awesome articles that were showing things like what the win percentage of certain decks was, where you saw Hogak, like their win percentage was just ridiculous. Yeah. And then we got it proven right there in black and white, and that was awesome.
Yeah, I'm used to this because as a legacy vintage player, Eternal Central, which is an amazing resource for Eternal Magic, does this every year with Eternal Weekend. For as long as I've been going, they do this. They have copies of every single deck list. They scan in, and you can see what everybody played. And especially if you're playing a format with not as many players, that information is so valuable because you don't have very many events to derive a metagame from. And so I've been used to this for a while, and, it's something that I've wanted for other formats as well. And so I'm really glad that CFB is hopping on board and making this a thing.
Yeah. And congratulations to Abdullah Alwadhi for making the first top 8 from someone from the Middle East.
Holy cow, you said that.
Yes, yes, I did. I've been ready, been waiting.
Did you practice in front of the mirror?
A man has to do what he has to do to produce the entertainment. Now, look, all I know is he is 20 years old from Kuwait, and that is super awesome that we have someone from the Middle East that is top 8. And Rory Kear-Smith won the actual Grand Prix itself.
Mardu Shadow. What a world.
What a weird deck to win a tournament.
He ran hot, too. I think he was like 9-0, I think, for a while. Like, he was doing very, very well.
Yeah, he was doing great. And it did defeat the baddie of the format. That would be Hogak. Hogak gets one last weekend. Of course, it has to be GP Vegas of all weekends. But it's fine. It's whatever. We'll get to see how that all plays out.
I have a really bad feeling.
I
have a feeling they're not going to ban it.
No way.
I have a feeling in my bones that, believe me, I would like them to, but something tells me they're not going to do it.
Well, all I know, I do have a lunch bet on this with a coworker, and if y'all wanted to throw in a pie bet over here,
no.
Y'all don't feel good about the pie bet?
It's a feeling.
Do you feel like the pie wants to hit you here? You remember when you hit me in the face so hard, it splattered an outline of me behind me?
I do remember it, and if I don't remember it, it's on YouTube.
What's that?
Which side of the bet are you on?
Oh, it's getting banned.
It's getting banned.
It's getting banned. Hogak the card. Not something around it. Not Faithless Looty. Not Vengevine. Hogak.
I don't think they will.
Well, but you don't feel pie good about it.
I don't feel strongly enough. I want to pie bet this, but I don't feel strongly enough about it to do it.
All right.
The people want a pie bet.
I do it for the people. I do it knowing that I can absolutely lose this. There's a reason I went.
So the bet is that the next banned and restricted update,
which I believe
Hogak goes away.
It's Monday or Tuesday, right? Like it's soon.
Yep. It's a Monday.
Monday, yeah. So we're going to know just a few days.
I kind of want to do this for the people.
I do it for the people, man. You think I took Ignite the Beacon because I really thought it was that crazy strong? I was just like,
you know what, Aaron, I'll take the hit on this one. I bet it is. I'll take this one.
Yes.
Oh my god.
I'll take it because the people want the pie bet. The people want blood.
I mean, look, if I'm wrong, I get double pied.
That's true.
Bam, bam.
You're already getting that Ignite the Beacon deliciousness.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I'll take this one. If I take a pie bet for Hogak, I'm okay with that. I think that this one's an okay one to lose.
Fair enough. It will be a lot of fun. All right. So with part of the announcements from last week about the organized play changes, Willie Edel got to talk about the LatAm Magic series that he's running, and he says he has 70 applications for the series in 2 hours. Nice. There are stores out there that want to participate in this, and I think that is fan-freaking-tastic.
Mm-hmm.
So more power to Mr. Willie Edel.
In the Latin American region, 70 tournaments.
Yeah.
So that's 2 tournaments. That's like 2 tournaments a week in Central and South America. Now, obviously, that's a huge area, but it's more than they have most of the time.
I had the pleasure of getting to know many Brazilian Magic players during my time with Card Hoarder, and just hearing about how hard they have to work to get to where they are. You know, if I remember correctly, Brazil had two GPs last year, and it was all, and they were both in like the middle of the country. And so like Brazil's a big country. If you just look at it on a map, I mean, it's huge. And so, you know, you had people that were in Brazil, where it was still a 10-hour flight just to get to the other part of Brazil that they needed to get to. You have the fact that I think the average Brazilian income isn't very high compared to the United States. Card availability is certainly an issue. I remember there was a modern GP that happened in Brazil once, and the meta was so unusual, largely because of card availability, where we're just so used to Liliana the Veils raining from the sky and Snapcasters, and it was like, yeah, not so much. And so we had a lot of zoo decks and, you know, just unusual deck choices for us. And so we forget how a lot of times we forget how good we have it. And Latin America is a example in particular of how other places aren't nearly as fortunate.
So we have ourselves a new combo deck in Standard. In fact, this was so sweet. The second ever Mythic Championship Qualifier weekend took place, and they broke it. And there's no better feeling than you having an idea for a deck, building that deck, tuning that deck, playing that deck, and it's so good and no one has any idea what you're doing that you get to crush it and actually get there. Congratulations to Stanislav Sivka and Andre Strosky. Oh my God. They broke it open with Kethis the Hidden Hand. So let's see if we can try to approximate how you win here.
Yeah, because I'm still not really clear.
Well, Kethis, obviously Kethis needs to be in play. You want to play Diligent Excavator, which is going to mill, put the top two cards of players' library into their graveyard whenever you cast a historic spell. Because Kethis lets you play legendary cards from your graveyard. Those are all historic spells.
Okay.
So those can mill yourself to keep yourself going, or they can mill, obviously, your opponent to mill them out. So with the way that the triggers work and the way that the triggers stack, essentially, if you've got a Mox Amber in play and a Mox Amber in your graveyard, and you have two other legendary cards in your graveyard, you can exile those other two, tap the Mox Amber for mana, then play the other Mox Amber from your graveyard. The old one goes to the, from Legend rule, the one that's tapped goes away. And then you can tap the new Mox Amber for more mana. Now, the way that things are kind of stamped, you can't replay that Mox again.
Correct. They're new objects when they change zones.
Right. When they change zones, they're new objects. So now you would have to then exile two more legendary cards via Kethis in order to replay that Mox again. However, because Diligent Excavator this whole time is just milling you, it's not that difficult to go off in that way. You can technically get infinite mana, again, with Excavator milling you if you have three Mox Ambers.
It's not infinite. Right. It is a lot.
It's a lot.
But eventually you will run out of legendary cards in your graveyard. Usually you get to a point where you're making mana with your third Mox Amber. You've milled your entire library, and so now you can start milling your opponent's library with multiple excavators that have backup excavators with your Lazovs as well. And you're also making mana, and you can also burn out your opponent with Oath of Kaya. As you can play 3 Mox Ambers, play Oath of Kaya, play 3 Mox Ambers, play Oath of Kaya 7 times, and do that. There's a lot of ways that it's essentially a self-mill strategy. Aaron, you would love it.
I would, and I just love all the cards. Like you have Tolsimir in the sideboard, Teshar, Unmoored Ego, Ashiok.
Teshar is really good at keeping your excavators in play.
Totally.
It is a really fragile combo. You require 2 specific creatures in play, which your Lazov helps with, but you do require a Diligent Excavator and this Keshar both in play at the same time. So it is very tough.
It's tough.
But you have a lot of self-mill with your Ashioks and your Tamios and your own excavators to be able to power through.
Speaking of fragile combos, there's a combo that came across my desk the other day called the Perfect Storm and Pauper, or Pauper, as our friend the Maverick Girl likes to say. So most Storm cards that are, I think, just about all the Storm cards are banned in
Most.
Grape Shot's banned, Empty's banned.
Yeah. Ground Rift, I think, is legal.
Yeah, so you can't really do Storm and Pauper until Weather the Storm came out. So you play Epicure of Blood and Weather the Storm, and then you drain the crap out of somebody. And it has such favorites as Manamorphose, Ideas Unbound. You have one copy of Exhume, Rite of Flame, Faithless Looting, Weather the Storm, Seething Song. This is everything I want to be doing in life. And so if I can figure out how to play this, it's on. Like, oh, this looks so much fun.
The Perfect Storm.
Having to play Weather the Storm as your Grape Shot, but it requires you to have a 5-mana creature in play is just the most perfect example of why the whole mechanic is just completely busted.
It's also a reminder of Wizards. We get it. Manamorphose was a mistake, but for God's sake, would you reprint it already? What are you waiting for?
How expensive is it?
$72 for a playset.
I used to have like 30 of those.
I traded mine. I had 4 that I was using solely for. So I flirted with Modern Storm a while ago, and then I just didn't really do anything with it. And I got rid of them right when Phoenix started becoming more popular. And I traded mine away and bought a commander deck with them, and I got some pretty good value out of them.
Yeah, I mean they're amazing, cards. It's just like, could we please? They got pre-printed as an uncommon in Modern Masters. There's a $17 common.
Kendra's actually in the chat right now. She says this was actually the same build as the original Storm deck in Pauper until Grape Shot and Empty were banned.
Dope. Wow. All right, so let's take a look at some leggings. You know what Magic players like? Leggings.
I love leggings.
You like these leggings, bro?
Oh my God.
On the screen right now, new to Wild Bangarang. It's a hell of a company, man.
Yeah, man.
Magic the Gathering's getting some love from the WB team with cosplay-friendly apparel. Goodness gracious. When you have to look like, that Planeswalker that you've always wanted, you now have the ability to do so. They have all kinds of designs, not just the ones you see on their screen. They also have some that are just the Planeswalker symbol in various ways. They also have the Planeswalker symbol.
I think these are hideous.
In skirts, there's the Planeswalker stuff in little dresses. I mean, each their own, right?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I have friends who are super hype about this, so I'm happy for them. But I wouldn't.
Look, all I am saying is that next Kickstarter sounds like a stretch goal. All I'm saying.
Magic Mike's leggings. Oh my God!
Literally a stretch goal.
Love it. I am on board.
Better. That's amazing.
I could be convinced to wear Magic Mike's leggings, but
you think you're wearing them? Oh, that's Ruben. That's Ruben. Ruben's got the body for those.
Oh yeah, I'm moderately attractive. I could pull off some leggings.
You think Ruben skipped leg day?
Stretch goal. I skip everything day.
He skipped every single one of them.
It's this T-shirt is all that's keeping like a pile of sausages from falling out. No, we're not making Magic Mike's leggings. I assume the stretch goal is to
buy a pair of these and have you wear them.
One stretch goal is buy a pair of these and then I wear them for people. And then the next stretch goal is buy a pair of these and please, dear God, don't show them. Right? Like that's the level we're hopefully getting.
Did you see the professor was like, I have to review these, and I'm like, oh no.
Of course you do.
Oh God.
Prof, I have never. First of all, Prof, congratulations. Second of all, I don't know if we're talking about that this episode, actually. Are we?
Well, he did have a 6-year anniversary and passed his 100 millionth view, which was awesome.
Congratulations.
But if you don't think I didn't, from the top rope, DM Prof over this, I was like, bro, you got to do this now.
This is the easiest home run I've ever heard of in my life. If you review this, you get 6 digits of views like in 30 seconds. So 100%, I need to see the professor in sweater vest, tweed jacket with the elbows,
Liliana pants,
like velvet vest, crochet tie, and leggings. No shoes, no socks, just like standing on the beach
Look, I hope like half of it is like a very serious, he's testing the material and he's trying a different, if it gets wet or something, and the rest of it's just like cheeky bum, like running around. Ooh, I'm cute. I don't know.
Or I mean, if it's just like traditional video where he's sitting in the chair and like talking about
the
product,
reveal of like,
except for that when he gets up and walks over to the desk, he's wearing them. Like this writes itself.
Man,
so good.
Very, very nice. All right, here. So. And again, as we mentioned, Clarion Community College did have a 6-year anniversary where he made an awesome video going through all of the years that we have killed Magic over and over and over again.
This is a huge accomplishment and a huge anniversary. The prof is one of the hardest working, most creative people out there. Congratulations, and well deserved.
Absolutely. So, at PAX West, there is going to be.
I saw you skip that.
I wasn't trying to skip anything. I just thought it was neat to talk about the PAX West thing. And we'll go back. It's fine.
Okay.
At PAX West, there's going to be a stained glass Liliana Dreadhorde General, which looks amazing. It's on the screen right now. It comes in 2 sizes. One is 14-inch by 24-inch. That's what you would describe as a normal playmat size. And then you have 14-inch by 32-inch, and that would be $40 or $50 respectively. And of course, they didn't make infinite, so supplies are limited. This is really cool. This isn't like sort of everything thrown on a playmat like we looked at a week or 2 ago. This is solid, I think.
Yeah.
I'd be happy with this one.
I like these. The stained glass art was a goal that you could get in arena events, and I think everybody fell in love with them as soon as they saw them. So yeah, great.
Fantastic. So I thought that was really cool. Let's go ahead and bounce back here. Dredge wins Eternal Weekend Asia.
Yeah.
First time since 2011, 8 years.
Oh my God. Guess who's back again. Yeah. So Eternal Weekend happens 3 times a year. I believe there's an EU version, there's Asia, and then there's the version here in October. And so EW Asia was this past weekend. They had a legacy tournament and a vintage tournament, and Dredge won the whole thing. Dredge has not won an Eternal Weekend since 2011. So this is a really, really big deal. And in keeping with the tradition, one of the things I love about Japanese Magic, about Asian Magic, is the ingenuity that we see in their decks. Like sometimes I just go to Happy MTG and just go through the deck list because they're so unafraid to like try new cards and try new things. The deck that came in second place was Karn Storm. So it was Karn, the Great Creator, plus Dark Petition, Vampiric Tutor, Bolas's Citadel, Tendrils of Agony, and it was an artifact storm deck, and it was like chicken soup for the soul. It was just this feeling like going down so smooth and then just warming you up all over like a cold winter day, and it was just beautiful. And so if you get a chance, go to eternalcentral.com. They have all of the listings there, all of the deck lists, all of the coverage. It was a really, really good time, and I was just so happy to see my favorite deck win something, which we haven't done in like 8 years. So
what is there's like 85 types of Dredge, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what kind of Dredge was this?
So this was really nothing fancy. It was really just a pitch Dredge list with a lot of blue with counter spells. Nothing really new going on here. The only real thing that might be a little bit spicy is he was running a copy of Bane of Progress in the sideboard, which LSV famously brought to the BSL one night. Because if there's a lot of artifact decks in the format and you just destroy everything. So it was a pretty safe list, but he seemed to have played it very well, and a lot of good competition, a lot of great art was there. And so I plan on pouring through all of this while I'm on the plane tomorrow and just catching up on all the sweet decks.
Fantastic.
It's like the Eskimos have 80 words for snow or whatever. You got your 80 different builds of Dredge.
Types of Dredge, yeah.
I always feel like Posh Spice when I'm getting ready to go to a tournament. If you've ever seen Spice World, and the part where she's on the bus and she's like, I don't know what to wear. And then Sporty Spice is like, you got the little Gucci dress, or the little Gucci dress. Like that's how I feel whenever I go to a tournament. What kind of Dredge am I playing?
Did you all know coming here tonight that you would get the Spice World dropped on you? Was y'all ready for that?
You're welcome.
You are welcome for that. Okay, so we are going into Desperate Ravings, and in true Desperate Ravings style, Aaron, could you talk a little about this first story? What's going on with this first story and you? How you feeling?
So I'm going to preface this.
Everybody needs to put on like welding masks.
So I'm going to preface this by saying that I have absolutely no issue with any of the people involved in what I'm about to talk about. They are all amazing creators. They're all lovely people, and I hope to run into them this weekend. Mm-hmm. However, there is a panel that is happening at Grand Prix Vegas this weekend that is being listed as a content creator panel. Let's go over who's on this panel. We have Bloody, who's an awesome young lady, trans mafia. We rated her the other day. Yep. Gabby Sparks, queen, goddess, Twitch ambassador, love her. Pleasant Kenobi, love him. Kenji, what needs to be said, Kenji. And a young man known as the Asian Avenger. That's it.
That's it.
Content creation is more than just streaming. If you are a cosplayer, you are a content creator. If you do alters or proxies, shout out to the proxy guy, you're a content creator. If you're a blogger, if you're a podcaster, you are a content creator. It bothers me to see something that's listed as a content creator panel that is made up of streamers. Content creation is so much more than just streaming. Streaming is a form of content creation, but I would really like to see Wizards embrace and not lose sight of all of us who are making content, because so many people in this community are doing things, and you are a content creator. And so it just really bothers me a little bit when I see this panel and I see this being plugged as if streaming was the only form of content. And so I just wanted to remind people that there are different forms of content out there, and that streaming is just one of them. That's all.
Yep. Agreed.
Yeah.
They managed to avoid missing YouTube 100% because Pleasant Kenobi is there. Mm-hmm. But even that is, at this point, he's a host. And so it's close, right? Like, where's the professor? Where's Wedge? Where's any podcast host? Not us, because we stream on Twitch. So like I would still qualify us as Twitch streamers for this argument. It's weird, honestly. I mean, Wizards, I understand streaming is like where it is now.
Yeah,
but
Wizards basically just like has
call
the
it
Twitch
a streaming panel then, and that would be fine. But like the fact that it's calling a content creator panel, and there are so many ways to make content, which is why we love the community and why we consume content. And to have it be listed as a content creator panel with just one kind of content feels very narrow to me. And
having no writers is very
bizarre. I mean, I think that's how most of us
does articles. I know that he
even
does
deck builders. If you are a brewer, the Aliantrazis of the world, that's content. Like there's so many things that qualify as content, and I think a lot of people don't even realize. Like I think a lot of people just sort of do what they do and don't think of themselves. But you are a content creator. Like it's fine. You're one of us.
I mean, back in the day, there was no content creator. You were an author for a website, and that's just all you did.
That was it.
And there was, just trying to pitch video stuff was weird and odd, and no one's got time to sit around and watch you play Magic
coverage.
Online.
I think that's a form of creation. Like you are covering events. You are spinning a narrative. You are, making it fun to watch something. You are giving me a storyline to care about. And I would just like to see more forms of content creation.
I love that. I love that story of how the Magic Show, when you were first coming up with the Magic Show, and you were trying to pitch it as an idea, and you were like, I just kind of want to play Magic and submit it as video, and people were like, no, it needs to be scripted, or like the script written out in some way, or else we won't take it.
That's correct.
What a world we live in now, where if you're scripted, like, what are you even doing anymore? If you are writing coherent sentences and putting them together on the page, you're not a top flight level content creator in the eyes of Wizards of the Coast at this point. It's kind of weird, right?
All right, so if there happen to be any of the wonderful people who work at Wizards listening to this, let me put it to you this way. The stereotype at this point is that Wizards only cares about streamers.
Yes.
That's it. There's no two ways about it. That's all there is to it. So if you would like to fight against that stereotype, then you could reach more out to people who make different types of content. Again, like a pure author on that panel, a Sam Black, a Patrick Chapin, something like that, I think would have been absolutely huge. An Ari Lax, like get him out there. These are people who are going to be attending the event who could help with this panel and not just make it, well, when I'm ready to stream, I do so-and-so. When I'm ready, before I stream, I go work out and all this other stuff. It's like, but what else do you do to make content in Magic?
That isn't to say that streaming is incredibly difficult.
Absolutely.
And y'all are awesome. and I'm not trying to throw any shade. I'm just,
Sure. Yeah.
we're just talking about diversity here. So
it's I mean, yeah, it's frustrating, and you know, they did, and as pointed out by Bloodgaze in the chat, they did just invest a ton of money in a platform specifically for streaming.
Right, but they also announced a ton of money for the paper half of the game.
I was just going to say,
and how important that is. So,
so I understand that there is a lot of investment there, but there is plenty to go around, and also I just think that this panel is misnamed.
That's fair. So, Wizards of the Coast, or rather, Channel Fireball events, which is not channelfireball.com, CFB events. And
not the same.
That's right. Same, but different. Still same. There are... Okay, let me put it this way. Would you be surprised, as I was, when I found that CFB Events has sold $100,000 worth of Commander event, I guess, passes, as it were? When
I was one of the people who had to beg to get in the party. So the Commander Party, for those who don't know, that is where you get your first taste of Commander 19 and you get the sweet promo. They sold 200 seats in 2 weeks. That thing was sold out over a month before the GP. And I remember when they announced it on Twitter, and I was like, what? How? I was like, it's a month away. And they were like, yep, sorry. And I was one of the people that was like, no, you have to get, you have to get more seats. And so, no, I knew when the party sold out in 2 weeks that Commander was going to be a hit.
This thing is crazy. Now, if nothing else, Commander players have done nothing but beg for respect, for lack of a better word.
I have been the girl that comes on the show and talked about the times I've been to a GP, and all I want to do is have a place to play Commander, and I've constantly had to move and prove that I'm paying money to be there. I've been that girl.
Well, if they sell the pack, if the pass or whatever is $100 and they're selling 1,000 of them, well, that's $100,000, and that is serious money to carve out a portion of this giant hall.
The pictures?
And by God, they did. I'm going to bring them up on the screen here.
It looks incredible.
I'm impressed. Honest to God, I love to give props when props are due, and CFB events, you guys kind of kill it on this one.
It looks super dope.
Check out the pictures of this thing, of the command zone itself, of all of those sweet tablecloths, the color scheme that matches right there. That's a very large space for people to hang out and play. I was absolutely blown away, quite frankly.
I mean, it's a little, I get what somebody was saying in the chat. They were saying, it's unfortunate that you do sort of have to pay for this experience, but that is sort of what it's always been about, was that, even when I had the conversation with the CFB rep in Madison, was like, he's like, we know that people come here and spell sling, but we haven't figured out how to monetize that, or more importantly, how to recognize that, or how to rate that, or classify that. And so, I do understand what people are saying, that it is unfortunate, but at the same time, if you are able to get a GP level experience without actually playing at the GP, I might be willing to pay for that, and clearly a lot of other people are too. Like, I plan on being there Friday playing Commander all day. This space is beautiful. They have a lot of other neat things you can attach to your badge to give your pronouns or your guild affiliation. Do I wish, maybe it wasn't as expensive? Yeah, but I also feel like they're listening to the feedback and saying, okay, we didn't know how to recognize, you're paying for sleeves and you're paying for food, and that's great, but this is something they can clearly point to and saying this is something we can work with.
And they can also give you things that are worth the price of admission. It's more than one, it's something just to say, well, pay us $20 to get a Commander or whatever. No, it's like you pay us $100, you're going to get this foil Soul Ring promo that by itself is probably worth at least $50. And then, of course, you have the 4-day access to the zone, and you get the CFB deck box, which is nice. And, of course, they have the other upgrade on top of that, which is the party that sold out as well. And it's just, again, this is one of those, okay, we have come to realize that Commander and or casual play is basically the future. So let's lean in. So I tweeted at CFB events and I was like, hey y'all, I saw you made $100,000 on the Commander players. Maybe you should really lean into some Commander events. And they alluded that they would have more news later this week. Not by obviously Showtime, but we'll probably talk about this next week, which I hope is a very big investment in having a command zone at all these Magic Fests, and why it's important and why people will pay this for this type of experience, because clearly there's the audience.
And that's what they're paying for, the experience too. I want to touch on, again, somebody in the chat saying, well, you shouldn't have to pay for the party, but you're paying for that comes with a bar. Like the party comes with a cash bar that you can get free soda, free water. It's my understanding you can pay for drinks like alcohol, but you're getting a better experience. It's my understanding that you're getting room to play. You're not asses to elbows like you are in the main event. You're able to play at the tables you want to. Ideally, it's a better space. It's cleaner. It's more spaced out. I am more than willing to pay money for a better experience. If I don't have to sit on splintered chairs and tables with folds in them, I will pay money for that. And again, clearly there are people who are willing to do that. And we've talked about that on the show. I know we used to point to the Japanese events where people had naps and snacks and things like that. I will pay for that. I am more than happy to pay for better snacks or just the ability to play with my favorite content creators. And I am glad that they're giving people that outlet.
Mm-hmm. It is also worth noting that this is very similar to the traditional convention style setup where you pay an entry fee to go in. Right now, you don't have to pay an entry fee to walk into a GP. Which I think is fine and totally cool. We've been talking a lot about how the prices of entering a GP to play have gone up, but in order to walk in and walk around, you don't need a badge, right?
Right.
And so this is a bit of a shift to a different style of model that I find interesting and might signal a little bit of a sea change.
And you don't only have to play Commander in that area. There's going to be a lot of people there this weekend. So if you find somebody on Twitter, they can walk out of the zone and y'all can find a table together. No one's saying, they're not enforcing it. The Commander can only be played in this perimeter. So you can still play Commander wherever you want to. Eternal Weekend, I mentioned that earlier. One of the reasons why Eternal Weekends are so popular is because you get a prime experience. Eternal Weekend is one of the few events where VIP is 100% worth it. You are getting better chairs, better tables, security, good judging staff, good TOs. Paying for a better experience is not a bad thing.
Absolutely. So let's move on here to kind of an industry announcement type thing, if anything. Hasbro announced that they're going to remove plastic from their toy and game packaging. Now, this would include booster packs, which use plastic. This would also include, think of the cellophane that the booster packs have been wrapped in. That would also include that. So, while Modern Masters 2015 was a gigantic disaster of epic proportions of damaged cards, thanks to using cardboard boxes instead of actual booster packs, which they quickly were like, whoa, let's go back to booster packs, and they did. This is the next kind of go at it, is what it sounds like. And I'm a little concerned. Maybe they can create some new material has been created from, ever since 2015 to now, that they have new options or something. How a booster box is going to be sealed when it doesn't have a cellophane, how you're going to be able to tell that it's genuine if you don't, if you buy it online or you just buy it, at somebody's yard sale, for God's sakes, and they're like, these are brand new booster boxes. You're like, yeah, but it doesn't have a cellophane on it. So I don't know how that's going to play out. But it is very interesting
to see how this plays out, because on the one hand, I like getting rid of plastic. I think that is
sure,
save the earth, and let's have more than 100 months left on this planet of ours. But on the other hand, the practical application of not having damaged cards is a real one. And, just putting them in cardboard boxes isn't going to cut it. Some practical engineer work is going to have to go into it.
So that will be obviously interesting to see when changes actually happen, but it's good to be aware of them. And we move on here to a problem that we've talked about before. This was a problem originally in the Pauper world. And at least it appeared that Wizards was going to do some amount of recognizance in figuring out if was this actually happening, who's doing it, who's taking advantage of it. The idea that you and or multiple accounts that you own and or your friends can all join a league, concede only to each other, and then bag the prizes, which are worth more than what you paid for, taking those prizes and turning them into cash dollars because you can, and then twiddling your mustache and running away. But the issue is, it's not just the twiddle the mustache. When we have proof here that vintage players are also starting to see this behavior, where over the past couple nights they keep getting paired and then the matchmaking fails. And then at the same time, several players who were on the Pauper leaderboards were, when win trading was common, are picking up trophies.
Well, then the deck lists are published and you realize they're just absolute trash, that there's no way that this deck, some of them don't even have, full sideboards. They're running a lot of one-ofs. They're running, draft commons, which, is fine if you're playing living end, but in vintage, the power level is quite high, where if you're winning with draft chaff, there's got to be a reason for that. And so, there was some discussion in the Discord about why this is a problem. And it's sort of it's a domino effect of the win trading is happening. Obviously people are being, jilted or cheated out of tickets and prizes, which is the immediate level 1 problem. But on a larger scale, you have a format that doesn't get very many events to begin with. And so much of the metagame is built around these events and these deck lists. And if the deck lists that are coming out are not genuine, it affects, the cards that people play, the decks that people play. On a larger scale, you have the ability to win format points, which you can then turn around and play a playoff with every quarter. And if you keep using that, if you keep ascending up the ladder, you might even qualify for a mythic this way, it's my understanding. And so, there's the immediate problem of okay, fine, you lost a couple tickets. No, there are, this could get a little bit bigger if you zoom out and realize how problematic this is. And so hopefully Wizards deals with this as quickly as they did the Pauper thing, because I have a couple of friends that were even doing surveillance the other night. I had 2 friends, Brian Kelly and my friend Justin Gennari, that were up at 3 a.m. and just kind of keeping up with this and being this is how many times my matchmaking got failed. And it was almost like a stakeout, and it was wild.
Absolutely. The idea essentially that, I think it goes another level on top of that, which is sort of a disenfranchising feel from those who play the format, which is I'm spending my time waiting in this queue. I want to play my games. I've built my deck. You finally get that match, and then oops, they're gone because they're just gaming the system. And how many times you can go through that cycle before you just give up and do something else is a question. So move on here. Got a few more minutes. Wizards of the Coast. Every once in a while, there's the left hand and the right hand. They don't always know what they're doing. It happens. Sometimes a lot. And someone said, Dear Magic Online, they'd like to point out that the Q4 Magic Online Legacy Playoff on December 1st coincides with the only Legacy GP in Europe, GP Bologna. So is there anything that can be done about this clash? We're already short on the moments to use our format points.
Yeah, well, that's awkward. Hopefully that gets resolved. Has there been any movement on that?
Far as I know, nothing has changed. So this is our little signal boost in saying, hey, this is kind of a thing you should fix. This seems like...
definitely sounds like something that they can move.
Right.
Do those championships have to happen on weekends?
I don't know. Maybe they have guidelines. Maybe they don't. I guess we will see. But if they could move that, I think you would help out a lot of people who are, well, they want to enjoy the legacy events when they only get one.
Exactly.
Jeez. All right. One last little bit here. Well, actually, a few little bits here. There was an idea thrown out that's from Tommy Ashton, who is an old school player, if you don't know. Who said, hey, he talked to Mark Caldero, I think.
Wait a minute. You can pronounce the young man from Kuwait's name flawlessly, but you cannot say Mark Calderero.
Calderero. Mr. Mark Calderero. For unique cards tied to events that would be like challenge coins, bearing the name of the event and or relevant pick of the city. As I understand, this is big in the military, where they have challenge coins that they give to various people for various things, and they're commemorative coins, and they have different designs, different things noted on them. And this is just one more type of thing to have a promo essentially tied to the regional pro tours, because Ari Lax was like, are there going to be t-shirts? And he was like, well, what if there weren't t-shirts, but there was some other kind of collectible? That would be really cool. I think that's a great idea. And if Wizards can give you something that isn't necessarily a Magic card, but is still something cool and a commemorative keepsake, well, I'm all about that.
Yeah,
so, absolutely. I think that this is a great idea. It's if you know Tommy Ashton, it is tough to cut through exactly what is sarcasm and what isn't. But if you are able to slice through that and decipher the message here, I think that this is a great idea, regardless of whether it's been implemented before or not. I'd love to see it.
Absolutely. So their last little bit here, I'm going to jump into splash damage. because the creator of Magic the Gathering has a new game coming. And note that Richard Garfield designs lots of games and often has multiple games released each year with his name on it. So this isn't like this is the first game since Magic the Gathering. But, you know, it's Richard Garfield, and it's really sweet. And it's Ken Jennings, as it turns out, making a game called Half Truth. And this is a trivia game, which looks really interesting.
Yeah, they've made double their goal already. I mean, this is a polished rollout. Like if you look at that Kickstarter, it's got graphics, it's got a video. There's a rollout on Facebook and Instagram as well. Like this is a time coordinated effort, and they deserve all the coins. And Richard Garfield is just so damn adorable. Like every time I see him, I just want to give him a hug because he just looks so like wholesome and yet overwhelmed by everything that's happening to him at any given time, and I just think it's incredibly charming.
You have 35 hours to go to get the pledge for $25 for the game for the early bird. Otherwise, it'll be $30.
Did you tell them what it was about?
I said it was a trivia game.
So basically, what's really interesting about this is, so it's a trivia game, and each question comes with 6 answers, and you have to wager on whether or not the answers are right or wrong. So it's not like a normal trivia game where like you just have to guess the right answer, where it's like, what color is the sky? And you're like blue, and you get a point if you're right, and a point if you're, and you lose a point if you're wrong. This is a little bit more interesting than that, where you see 6 different answers, and you have to choose, and you bet, and you wager, and then there's pieces along a track, and it's really clever and
I love that.
to digest. Like I was able to get it just from reading the whole Kickstarter, and I think this is neat. They filmed the video at one of the mock stores in Seattle. This was great.
Yeah, it seems to harken a little bit of a game called Wits and Wagers, if you've ever played that.
Yeah, someone just said that in chat.
Oh, well, there you go. Yeah, Wits and Wagers is terrific. So regardless, that's really sweet. And if you want to get on that early bird, well, jump on it. All right, let's go ahead and pick ourselves a winner for our $50 gift certificate giveaway. It's always fun. Congratulations to Track Freak Levi.
Yes.
Way to go. Congratulations. Please contact Miss Aaron if she has not blocked you already.
Very possible, yeah.
You never know.
Did you see? I got really worried the other day. So Twitter secretly changed their notifications. Go look at your notifications. You might have noticed that you haven't been seeing a lot of likes lately, or a lot of your mentions. They changed it without anyone knowing. So if you're not careful, it'll say tailored for you. Yeah, so you're going to want to go in there and make sure it says all, because for a while it said I wasn't the only one with this problem. And someone on Twitter was like, "Are you sure you just didn't block everybody?" And I was like, fair. But yeah, they changed it now where you're only seeing certain mentions and certain likes.
That's
interesting.
Yeah.
That's odd, but okay. Kind of weird in and of itself.
Yeah, so you got to go in there and fix it.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and get to our giveaway and our thanks, which we've done the giveaway. Let's go ahead and do our thanks to our subs for the hour. MTG Pack Foils resub for 11 months.
Thank you.
It's my Jane Ives month, they say. Hashtag Stranger Things. I don't know what that means. I haven't watched the latest season, but I need to. Sheth DMMD resub for 10 months. Thank you so much. H2O Happy Dude. We don't mention this all the time, but H2O Happy Dude did host us. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
00 Busy Hands resub for 12 months in a row. 1 year pog, they say. Thank you much. Castrolon 55 has gifted a sub to TSS Aliok.
Nice.
For 2 months. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Rezip Cannet has resubbed for 4 months. Keep up the great work, y'all, they say. I'm sure I'm butchering the hell out of it.
Difficulty with
Thor,
specific names is adorable.
Thor Doggo 007 hosted for 1 viewer. Thank you. The Hackbird resub for 7 months. Thanks so much. Smilk, that's on you. Smilk House, which you're going to mention in a minute. Dude Abiding resub for 2 months. Thanks a lot. That's a big one, by the way, because you came back one more time for the month. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Which is great. And I believe we're going to now to move on to the bits. Ruben?
It's going to be a short one for me this week, as we have one bit giver this week. Thank you so much to Smilkhouse 200 bits.
Thank you.
Oh, I guess those are carrying over from the...
there we go.
Oh, Thunder Voice _1.
Thank you.
Plus 269. Nice. That's too nice.
That's double nice.
And Smilkhouse is now at 400. So thank you all so much.
All right. We have chosen a person to raid. We are going to turn our corner to the finisher.
Oh, we got more bits from Martin Casa. Thank you, Martin. 30 more bits.
Martin, you're awesome. Thank you, sir.
House of Shadow says he saw a lot of bits. What is happening? Do I just not have bits?
I only see the bits.
I only see the 3.
Yeah, I don't see those.
Oh, well.
Here we
Thank
go.
you so much, everybody.
Look,
Thank you.
seriously, 3 is better, and it's fantastic. So, the finisher. Somebody call Frank Karsten. 4-color Kethis broke standard at the most recent Mythic Championship qualifier weekend. Only a few people played the new combo deck, with both Andre Strosky and Stanislav Sivka managing 5-1s on day 2 to qualify for MC5. With those impressive results, it seems the check is in the mail. Yeah, the check is in the mail. Okay, they're bringing Kethis back. That's right.
Nope.
Y'all, okay, don't know how to act. All right. Well, regardless, overly complicated graveyard-based iterative combo decks and Stan Sifka go together like Aaron and the block button. But it kind of came
That
out
might be the best sentence I've ever written.
And I didn't know this prior to him reading this.
Honestly, that's better than every punchline I've ever written.
It was really good. It was really terrific, but it came out of nowhere. So tell me, what's the next big surprise deck to take the metagame by storm, Aaron?
Well, Dredge is on the comeback trail after winning Vintage Champs for the first time since 2011, and I am so excited to play the Legacy event in Vegas this weekend, the best format right now in my opinion, with similar amounts of Ravnica keywords. But there is one eternal format where graveyards have not quite overtaken the metagame, 1993 to 94 old school. So I'm excited to unveil my Dredge deck for the final frontier. Come get your Dredge skeletons right here.
There we go. Keeping it skelly.
I think that they're Drudge skeletons, but I could be.
It's possible, but we can still, it's just slap a label on it.
When you can only play with 5 seconds.
Exactly. You want to use every part of the dead buffalo.
Nice. Ruben?
The zombie buffalo.
Yeah.
Well, modern's in a weird spot right now. What with everybody doing the Hogak mash and making a graveyard smash. But there is hope on the modern horizons with the impending emergency banning that is definitely not happening.
Oh.
Definitely not. Okay.
We're in a pie bet on that.
We do. Once modern is a playable format again, though, I am excited for the next top dog to come with my favorite card ever printed, mono green Chub Toad Aggro.
Oh God, did you see that meme on Twitter where people were replacing card names with Chub, like Emrakul the Promised Chub?
Yeah, we've come a long way since.
Sigarda, host of Chubs.
Oh my God. All right. That said, Pauper is apparently breakable too. And surprise, surprise, it's using a broken mechanic. No, this time it's not Dredge. It's that old Standby Storm. Combining Weather the Storm and Epicure of Blood, because if there's one thing worse than Storm in Walmart, it's Storm and Pauper.
It's fine. It's totally fine.
It's fine. It's totally fine.
It's fine.
Fine.
Totally fine. Well, that said, that ends another live episode of Magic Mike's. Thanks for joining us here to discuss all things Magic. Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you for having me, and be sure to come say hello to me at GP Vegas this weekend. I get there around dinner time tomorrow. I'll be there until Sunday morning, and it is going to be a wild, wild time.
And Ruben, you're going as well, is that correct?
I am not going to Vegas.
I'm the only one repping this. It's all on me this weekend.
I will not be in Vegas.
I'm just happy I get to play. The last 2 years we've done live shows. I haven't been able to actually do anything, so it's all about me this time.
That's true.
Because the old balls and chains aren't coming, so you don't have to be part of creator panels with us.
I know, right?
Oh, someone busted that Chub Forge Mystic in there.
Chub Forge Mystic is nice.
Hedron Chub is also very,
Justice
very nice.
for rampaging Chubstodon.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
If anybody has any recommendations for hosts, let us know. Before we
Glimpse of the Chub.
Glimpse of the Unchubbable. Oh my God!
Oh my God!
Chub Crack.
Olivia mobilized for Chub. Oh my God!
I have to close the chatter. I'm not going to make it through the show.
We got it. We're gonna move it to our.
Nice.
Jesus.
These are entertaining, and also we went off the air like 10 minutes ago.
Him to Chub. No, we didn't. But we're gonna move to our final slide. I want to thank our sponsor, CoolStuffInc.com, our co-sponsor, CardHoarder.com, my co-hosts, Aaron Campbell and Ruben Bressler. You guys for watching or listening, and hope you support us at Patreon.com/MagicMikes. Please follow, like, tweet, favorite, share, subscribe to everything social that tells people we exist. Catch us online on our Discord, Twitch.tv at Magic Mikes, on Twitter at Magic Mikes Cast, our Magic Mikes subreddit, and like the Magic Mikes page on Facebook. Talk to us privately at MagicMikesPodcast@gmail.com. Follow the audio-only podcast at MagicMikesPodcast.libsyn.com, or find us on iTunes or Spotify, or join us here next week, same time, same place, for another episode of Magic Mikes. Good night, everybody.
Good night.